this afternoon near Inez. VFD busy with two fires, one Thursday night, and the Victoria Fire Department had another fire today in the 2000 block of South Laurent Street.
We're tracking severe weather off to our east. We'll have an update on that and the rest of your weekend forecast coming up.
And the Victoria West Lady Warriors softball team has a new head coach at the helm, and she played at a local college. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. Last night, just after 10 o'clock, firefighters in the 100 block of Avant Garde Drive, that's just north of Ben Jordan Street and Sam Houston Drive. No word on what started the fire or if anyone was hurt. Another fire today in the 2000 block of South Laurent Street happened just before 2:30 p.m. No one was hurt. Traffic was an issue for a time. A crash involving a black SUV at about 4:30 this afternoon near Inez. The vehicle appeared to have mistakenly driven too far to the side and went off the road. The driver of the vehicle was injured. She was transported to Citizens Medical Center. The U.S. Supreme Court revived the Biden administration's immigration guidelines that determine the priority of non-citizens for deportation. The Supreme Court, in an 8-1 decision, dismissed a challenge brought by two Republican state attorneys general, including Ken Paxton in Texas, who argued the immigration policies conflicted with existing immigration law. The court ruled Texas and Louisiana, the states in question, lacked the legal right to bring the lawsuit forward. Governor Greg Abbott signed House Bill 2127 on June 13th. The bill aims to remove patchwork local ordinances around the state. The law goes into effect September 1st and would put an end to safeguards such as the ordinance the city of Austin passed in 2010 that requires rest and water breaks on construction sites for at least 10 minutes every 4 hours. So for your viewer poll tonight, do you agree with Governor Abbott's move to end the requirement to give water breaks on construction sites? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 7% of the voters say yes, 93% of the voters say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. The Texas Supreme Court ruled today ERCOT, the operator of the state's power grid, is a government entity, granting the organization immunity to lawsuits stemming from the deadly winter storm in 2021. The Supreme Court of Texas ruled 5-4 on immunity, reversing a previous judgment from a Dallas State Appeals Court. Justices dismissed lawsuits from San Antonio's municipal electric utility and a private energy developer. ERCOT is the country's only power grid contained wholly within a single state. Let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Scott Pitney. Now, Scott, I've seen some pictures of some hail in the Houston area tonight. Any of that stuff coming our way?
Yeah, Don, I've been tracking these storms this evening. Right now, this severe thunderstorm warning has been extended to 10:45. It is to the northeast of our area. There's Wharton down there. So I think it'll stay to our northeast, but it's close enough to keep in mind. And as you said, it does have a history of producing hail, winds up to 60 miles per hour, and over an inch of rainfall. There it is as it continues to track off to the northwest. We'll have an update on that, plus the rest of your weekend forecast coming up in weather. Don?
Scott, thank you. A Texas real estate developer at the center of Attorney General Ken Paxton's impeachment pleaded not guilty to charges of making false statements to banks that loaned him more than $170 million. KXAS reports Nate Paul waived his scheduled arraignment before a U.S. district judge in Austin. Paul figures heavily in 20 articles of impeachment filed against Paxton, who is accused of abusing his power and bribery in order to help Paul. There is no reference to Paxton in Paul's indictment. Lavaca County Sheriff Micah Harmon has joined a group of sheriffs nationwide formed by Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. Goliad County Sheriff Roy Boyd, not among the officials nationwide named to the DeSantis coalition created to combat crime stemming from the migrants crossing the border with Mexico. Sheriff Boyd told us he has been talking with the DeSantis team, giving to them border operations information. As far as not joining this coalition, Sheriff Boyd told us, quote, "I'm not a political animal, I'm a cop," unquote. A debris field discovered near the wreckage of the Titanic after a days-long search for the underwater vessel and the 5 people on board. Officials believe a catastrophic implosion occurred on Sunday when the sub lost contact with its mother ship on its way down to see the Titanic.
Days after this Titanic-bound submersible named Titan went missing deep in the Atlantic Ocean, we're learning more about what went wrong when the 5 people on board were killed, likely instantaneously.
The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
A remotely operated vehicle discovering a debris field on the seafloor Thursday, including the sub's nose cone and parts of the pressure hull near the Titanic, more than 2 miles below the surface. The sub essentially collapsing inward under extreme pressure. At 12,500 feet underwater, the pressure is about 370 times the pressure at sea level.
If I had to put money down on what the finding will be, the Achilles heel of the sub was the composite cylinder that was the main hull that the people were inside.
Officials believe the implosion happened around the time the sub lost contact with the mothership Sunday morning. The Navy says an underwater acoustic detection system heard what was likely the implosion around that time, immediately sharing that data with the Coast Guard for analysis. Businessman Shahzada Daoud and his 19-year-old son Suleiman were among the 5 people lost.
Shahzada, my brother, he inspired in us audacity from a very young age. He was always the kind of person who has this incredible love for the world.
Stockton Rush, CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, which made the sub, was also on board. The company had faced scrutiny since the experimental sub was built in 2018, especially over its use of carbon fiber and titanium. Rush speaking with a Mexican actor in 2021.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
The Titan was the only submersible like it to never be certified. Back in 2018, a former employee had warned about issues with that carbon fiber exterior, saying that tiny cracks could become bigger and bigger the farther and more often it went into extreme pressure. The wrongful termination lawsuit settled out of court. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. That's on YouTube. That's our Crossroads Today. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10. Tomorrow marks 1 year since the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade federal abortion protections. Also ahead, researchers suggest a new experimental weight loss pill could offer results that rival currently approved injectable therapies.
Here's a look at what's coming up on Community Crossroads this week. We hear from the YMCA of the Golden Crescent. We also learn about Aransas Passages. We also hear from the Goliad Main Street program, and we hear a performance by Carissa Winters.
You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade federal abortion protections. In Washington today, President Biden signed an executive order aimed at preserving access to contraception.
Saturday will mark 1 year since the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision reversing Roe v. Wade federal abortion protections. Today, some 25 million women of childbearing age now live in states where abortions are now harder to get. In Washington, the president and vice president attending a reproductive rights event and earning early endorsements from pro-abortion access groups, including Planned Parenthood.
Americans would not stand by and let the court take away the right that's so fundamental. That we'd fight to restore these protections of Roe v. Wade and make it the law of the land once again, and we're going to do that.
Today, 20 Democratic-leaning states have protected abortion access, while more than a dozen Republican-led states have some kind of abortion restriction policies in place or pending, with 13 enacting near or total bans.
My understanding is babies deserve equal protection.
Last fall, an ABC News Washington Post poll found more than 60% of Americans polled opposed the court's decision. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi daring Republicans to take up legislation that would restore abortion protections.
Are they afraid of their constituents? They're going to have a lot more to fear in the next election.
Across the aisle, former Vice President and current Republican presidential candidate Mike Pence doubling down.
Every Republican candidate for president should support a ban on abortion before 15 weeks.
And Vice President Harris is set to observe 1 year since the Supreme Court's abortion decision with a major speech on reproductive rights in North Carolina. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Researchers suggest a new experimental weight loss pill could offer results that rival currently approved injectable therapies. The New England Journal of Medicine published a study on Eli Lilly's drug called orforglipron Friday. Researchers found the pill helped patients on its highest dose lose an average of 15% of their body weight after 36 weeks in a mid-stage trial. Unlike currently approved medicines for weight loss like Ozempic, orforglipron is a daily pill, not a once-weekly injection. Thursday night, every single senior at Marlin High School near Waco finally received their diplomas. 1 month before, only 5 students were set to graduate.
Cheers of excitement as all 38 Marlin High School seniors walked to the stage to receive their diplomas Thursday night.
It was a great feeling instead of just a couple of us graduation. You know, we got everybody, together to graduate, and it was a great feeling to do it with my class.
It's a feat that didn't seem possible a month ago. In an audit on May 23rd, the district announced just 5 seniors were eligible to graduate based on issues regarding grades and attendance. Working with the TEA, Superintendent Dr. Daryl Henson pushed back graduation so more students could become eligible.
Our job is to be educators and to not be punitive. And that we have to provide more students with opportunities to show success and demonstrate completion, then at Marlin ISD, that's what we're going to do.
But this wasn't met without frustration from parents and students, some who say they had no idea of their children's ineligibility until just days beforehand.
For this to have happened 6 days after the last day of school, it is bittersweet for him. And so as his parents and his family, we're just here to keep him, lifted up and mentally healthy and emotionally healthy, because we just want what is right.
Brandolyn Jones's son, Prayer, was the senior class president and a decorated student athlete. But despite his high GPA and active involvement at school, he was also one of the initially ineligible to graduate. But now, walking across the stage with all his peers,
Prayer Naeem Jones.
Prayer says this feeling is even more bittersweet than he could have imagined.
We've been through so much, and it kind of brings us closer. And being through all this that's happening is bringing us closer.
And as he heads off to the University of Louisiana at Lafayette to throw shot put, high school diploma in hand, there's one thing he's learned from this situation.
It kind of opened my eyes to being more independent and being more vocal and advocating for myself, and not only myself, but for other people, and just believing in what's right.
In Marlin, Chantal Robb, KWTX News 10.
A Fort Worth police cadet and 2 firefighters injured from a nearby lightning strike at a training facility as storms moved across North Texas this morning. One Fort Worth police cadet taken to the hospital out of caution. He's doing well. The firefighters were assessed at their station and returned to duty. After one of the Wednesday storms, one family in a Houston suburb just lucky to be alive after a massive tree crashed through the middle of their house.
Here's another look from above, Air 11 capturing the full magnitude of the damage. I talked to the homeowner who asked to remain anonymous, but agreed to share the terrifying experience. He says he was in his backyard last night when he first noticed the storm clouds rolling in and the winds picking up. He says instincts told him he needed to move his family to the back of the house and into his daughter's first-floor bedroom. That's where he, along with his wife and his 2- and 4-year-old girls, were, and his mother-in-law upstairs in her bedroom, when the giant pine tree smashed through their home, nearly splitting it in half.
It's a crack and a boom, you know, and you can feel the house shake from the tree falling on it. It's heartbreaking. I've cried all day because we worked hard to put this house together. You know, we worked hard to get it where it is now. You know, we take care of it. And this was, you know, a place where we can call home.
Yeah, your heart just goes out to this family. Video from inside the home that we got shows debris everywhere. The frame of the house splintered into pieces. The homeowner says seconds after the tree crashed through their home, he grabbed his family, ran out of the house and into their truck and drove away, scared the house would collapse on them. He says rain then drenched the entire inside, destroying everything, including his 2 little girls' hearing devices. Both his daughters, he says, suffer from hearing loss. This 2-story home is one of the hardest hit homes here in the Spring Branch subdivision in Spring, but other parts of the neighborhood dealing with storm damage this afternoon as well. Yard after yard, we saw uprooted trees, some toppled onto cars, as well as down power lines blocking streets. Residents still without power hours later after losing it last night.
The homeowner said despite everything, they're grateful to be alive. They do have insurance, so they plan to rebuild.
Well, that is scary. We are tracking storms off to our northeast. We'll have an update on that, plus your weekend forecast, all coming up next in weather. Stay with us. And welcome back. Take another look at these storms. It looks like they are going to miss the crossroads off to our northeast. They did have a history of producing hail and strong winds and rainfall rates up to an inch, but it looks like it is going to stay away from us. What we are still dealing with is the excessive heat. We have a heat advisory that was until 8 o'clock tomorrow night, now extended until 10 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to see triple-digit temperatures, ambient temperatures, all next week. And then, unfortunately, dry weather ahead, no rain. And this is why we have this high pressure that moved off to the west just a little bit. That's what allowed for the atmosphere to weaken a little bit on Wednesday and give us those storms. And also with that high rotating this way, the reason these storms did form is they are on the kind of the outside edge of that ridge. But around the ridge itself, it is the air sinking and not allowing the air to rise to produce more storms. That ridge is going to slowly move off to the east and eventually settle and center somewhere around Shreveport. And when it does, it's actually going to, with this clockwise flow, start to bring the wind around from the southwest. As that wind comes in from the southwest from Mexico, it'll be a little bit drier, but it's going to be so hot, really not notice the difference, but maybe a little bit less humidity. We still have activity in the tropics with Tropical Storm Cindy now at 50 miles per hour. Cindy tracking off to the northwest. It is going to miss all of the islands here, but may affect Bermuda later on in the week. And then we also still have Tropical Storm Brett now with winds at 50 miles per hour. Brett continues to weaken and move off to the west as well. Other than that, there is no other activity in the tropics for right now. Water temperature already a very warm 86 degrees down in Port O'Connor. High tide tomorrow at 1:28 p.m. Low tide 1:20 a.m. Wind south 10 to 15 knots. Those seas 2 to 3 feet, and the bay waters slightly choppy. Overnight tonight, getting down to 79 degrees. Cloudy skies, could see a little bit of patchy fog early in the morning, especially around the coast. Those winds southeast at 10 miles per hour, and then for tomorrow, 98 degrees, winds picking up a little bit southeast at 15, under mostly sunny skies. For Port Lavaca, which is a good place to be down by the water, waking up to 83, starting off cloudy to partly cloudy, then becoming mostly sunny to sunny, high only reaching 93. I say only 93, still warm, but a little bit cooler by the water. And then for sunset, 87 degrees. Move further inland to Cuero, starting off a little bit warmer at 80 degrees. By noon, mostly sunny skies, 92, and a little bit higher temperature by 4 p.m., 98 degrees. Then by sundown, 90 degrees at 8 p.m. My goodness, that is warm. For your 7-day, mostly sunny skies again, 98 degrees, 100 degrees ambient temperature for Sunday under mostly sunny skies. Monday, 101. Look at those low temperatures, not getting low in the upper 70s, very warm. Another 101 degree temperature day on Tuesday. Wednesday, 100 degrees, just triple digits all the way across. I wish I had better news, but I don't. No rain, just hot temperatures all through next week, and I really don't see anything even beyond 7 days in terms of rain. So it's just something we're going to have to deal with. Stay safe, folks. Download the Crossroads app today. Get the latest in news, weather, and sports at your fingertips. Plus, sign up for email alerts. It's free. Here's Gino with sports.
Thanks, Scott. The Texas high school preseason rankings are out and multiple teams are ranked. We see where after the break. At a Crossroads, the Victoria Generals are looking to get revenge tonight against the Brazos Valley Bombers. The Bombers got off to a hot start, scoring 3 runs in the first 2 innings, but the Generals' offense could not get anything going, although it out-hit the Bombers by just 1 hit. The Generals would be shut out without a run. Both teams had an error in the game as well. The Bombers went on to win 4-0. The two will play tomorrow at 7 in Brazos Valley. The Victoria West Lady Warriors softball team will be getting a new head coach for the upcoming softball season. The one taking the reins is Zoe Miranda. She has 17 years of softball playing experience, some at Navarro and Corsicana, and even here at UHV. While being a Jaguar, she was on the team that made it to the World Series a few years ago. On the coaching front, this is her first year as a head coach, but she was an assistant coach at Midwestern State for several years. The 24-year-old said she is ecstatic about this opportunity because she has always wanted to become a coach. Her goals are to develop talent early on, starting in middle school, including with camps, but also to become the most successful program ever at West. We are 62 days away from the Texas high school football season, and the Texas Bible, also known as Dave Campbell's Texas football preseason rankings, are out, and multiple teams made the list. The top-ranked team in the Crossroads area is from Class 2A Division I, the Refugio Bobcats. The Orange and Black are coming off a state final appearance where it would fall just short of winning its 6th title. Also ranked in Class 2A Division I is the Shiner Comanches at number 9 and Ganado at number 21. In Class 3A Division I, last season's state semifinalists Edna Cowboys are ranked number 3 in the state. Cowboys head coach Jimmy Mitchell was named as Coach of the Year in Class 3A last season as well. The Goliad Tigers just make it, coming in at number 19. And in Class 3A Division II, the sole Crossroads team ranked in that area is the Tidehaven Tigers, making the top 5, falling at number 4 after making it to the state regional finals. Moving up to Class 4A Division I, the El Campo Ricebirds land at number 12 in the state. The Ricebirds lost the top back in the nation in Reuben Owens, who is now in Aggie land. And they also lost their head coach, Chad Worrell. Taking the helm is former Cuero State title winner Travis Reeve. The Calhoun Sandcrabs, on the other hand, find itself at number 16. And lastly tonight, the Houston Astros are in the middle of a battle with the Los Angeles Dodgers. 3 pitches into the at-bat, Dodgers batter Mookie Betts hits a bomb into left field to take the lead 1-0. And to the top of the 4th, the Astros said, hey, we can do one better. And Mauricio Dubon and Kyle Tucker go deep back-to-back to take the lead. Unfortunately, that would not last. The score is now 3-2 in the bottom of the 5th. That's your sports. Don, back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, grease is the word. Competitors try to slither to the end of a greased pole as part of annual festivities in Massachusetts. A small plane crashed just after takeoff Friday in Mississippi, landing on a practice field at Ocean Springs Middle School. Authorities said the pilot, the only person on the plane, was not injured. The pilot took off from Ocean Springs Airport for Asheville, North Carolina, early Friday. Rescuers along the Southern California coast working to save the lives of hundreds of sea lions and seals. These animals at the Marine Mammal Care Center being treated for an illness caused by an offshore toxic algae bloom. The algae produces a neurotoxin which accumulates in fish, which are then eaten by larger animals. Affected animals can suffer symptoms including seizures, dehydration, vomiting, aggression, and lethargy. The rescuers say they expect numbers to increase. And if you have to be out in the sun this weekend, please be careful, because there are physical problems that people can have if they are exposed to too much sun, too much heat.
Yeah, those poor seals.
Oh, it's terrible. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, you got to take it serious. This is dangerous heat, and if you don't stay hydrated, you don't stay cool, you know, if you don't have to be outside, don't. And if you do have to cut the grass or something like that, do it early. Then get into the AC and stay out of this stuff. You know, we'll get through it. We do every year. This is Texas, so. But you got to stay safe, folks. 98 for your high tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, and then triple digits all the way through. Those are ambient temperatures all the way through next week. Plenty of sunshine, good time to wash the car, but those low temperatures, look at that mid to upper 70s. It's going to be warm.
All right, Scott, thank you. And finally tonight, one of Massachusetts' annual traditions is back. Oh! For another year in Gloucester, the return of St. Peter's Fiesta and the Greasy Pole Contest over the over the final 3 days of St. Peter's Fiesta. Dozens of daring gentlemen took part in the Greasy Pole Contest. Competitors slither out onto the greasy pole to capture a flag at the end before ultimately falling into the waters off Pavilion Beach. After dozens of failed attempts, one man got to the pole but wasn't quite able to get it off the pole, and they're just falling in.
They called him gentlemen, but that's not very gentle. I mean, you can take a beating by falling.
No, but of course we don't know them personally. All right, thank you for joining us for 25 News Now 10. Joining Adam Seibel, 25 News Now this weekend. Good night, everybody.